Imagine waking up to the news that the United States has just bought Greenland, a massive, icy island with only 56,000 people, but enormous strategic value. Could this really happen? In 2019, Donald Trump proposed exactly that. But is buying land like this even possible in today's world? Let's find out. Why would the US want to buy Greenland? Greenland is not just a frozen land covered in ice, it is a place of immense importance. Even though it has a small population of only about 56,000 people, its location and natural resources make it a highly valuable territory. The world's biggest powers, especially the United States, China, and Russia, are all paying close attention to it. But why is Greenland so important? And why would the US want to own it? One of the biggest reasons is its strategic military location. Greenland sits between North America and Europe, making it a key spot for monitoring military activity in the Arctic. The US already has Thule Air Base in Greenland, which is one of its most important military bases. This base helps track potential missile threats and plays a major role in national security. If the US controlled Greenland, it could build even more military facilities, strengthen its defense systems, and keep a closer watch on global rivals. Another reason is Greenland's natural resources. Hidden beneath its thick ice sheets are massive deposits of rare earth metals, oil, and gas. These materials are crucial for making modern technology, from smartphones and batteries to advanced military equipment. Currently, China dominates the global rare earth market, supplying most of the world's demand. If the US had access to Greenland's resources, it could reduce dependence on China and secure its own supply of these valuable materials. Then there's the Arctic trade route factor. Due to climate change, Arctic ice is melting, and new shipping lanes are opening up. These routes could become the future of global trade, offering shorter travel times for cargo ships. Greenland's location puts it in a perfect position to benefit from this shift. Countries like Russia and China are already expanding their Arctic presence, hoping to control these trade routes. The US does not want to be left behind. If it had control over Greenland, it could gain a stronghold in the Arctic's future economy. But perhaps the most urgent reason is competition with global rivals. China has been investing in Greenland's infrastructure, while Russia has been building military bases in the Arctic. If the US owned Greenland, it could push back against these rising threats and maintain its dominance in the region. In short, Greenland is more than just ice and snow. It is a land of great potential. Whether for military strength, valuable resources, or global trade, owning Greenland would give the US a major advantage in world affairs. So, from a US perspective, acquiring Greenland would provide military strength, economic benefits, and geopolitical advantages. But can a country really buy another nation's land in today's world? Can a country buy another nation's land in the 21st century? Buying land from another country might sound strange today, but history shows that it has happened before. The United States has made big land purchases in the past. In 1703, the US bought Louisiana from France, doubling the country's size. Then in 1867, the US bought Alaska from Russia for $7.2 million, which turned out to be a great deal because Alaska had huge amounts of oil and natural resources. Even after World War II, the US tried to buy Greenland from Denmark for $100 million in gold, but Denmark refused. So, while land deals like this were common in the past, things are very different today. In the modern world, international laws make it much harder for countries to buy and sell land. Greenland is not just a piece of property that Denmark can sell. It is an autonomous territory, which means it governs itself in many ways, even though Denmark still has control over certain matters like foreign affairs and defense. Because of this, Denmark alone cannot decide to sell Greenland. The people of Greenland must also agree. This is where the United Nations Charter comes in. According to international law, all people have the right to self-determination, meaning they should have a say in their own future. Over the years, Greenland has been moving toward more independence rather than seeking to be part of another country. In fact, many Greenlanders want full independence from Denmark, not to be sold to the US. When Donald Trump proposed buying Greenland in 2019, Danish officials dismissed the idea outright, calling it absurd. Greenland's government also firmly stated that the island was not for sale. Since both Denmark and Greenland must approve any change in sovereignty, a legal purchase by the US is not an option. While acquiring Greenland may seem possible in theory, modern international laws and political circumstances make such a deal nearly impossible. However, even without a direct purchase, the US could still explore alternative ways to strengthen its presence and influence in the region. Could the US control Greenland without buying it? Even if buying Greenland is not an option, the United States could still find ways to increase its influence over the island. One of the most effective ways to do this is through economic pressure. The US could invest billions of dollars into Greenland's infrastructure, energy, and technology. This might include building roads, airports, and internet systems, or helping develop Greenland's natural resources like rare earth metals. If Greenland's economy becomes heavily dependent on US investment, it could make the island more aligned with American interests. Over time, this kind of financial influence could allow the US to shape Greenland's policies in its favor. Another strategy is military influence. The US already has Thule Air Base, an important military site that helps detect potential missile threats. If Greenland ever became fully independent from Denmark, it might look for military protection from a powerful country. The US could step in, offering security in exchange for a larger military presence on the island. Even though Greenland wouldn't be owned by the US, having a stronger American military footprint there would still give Washington a significant advantage in the Arctic. Another major consequence would be Europe's reaction. Even though Greenland is moving toward more independence, it is still connected to Denmark and the European Union in many ways. If the US tried to take control, European countries might push back diplomatically or even impose economic restrictions on American businesses. Relations between the US and its European allies could suffer, leading to disputes over Arctic policies, trade, and security. Then there's the environmental impact. Greenland's glaciers are already melting at an alarming rate due to climate change. If the US started aggressively mining Greenland's rare earth metals, oil and gas, it could accelerate environmental damage. Increased industrial activity could worsen climate change, raise sea levels, and even threaten Arctic wildlife. While economic growth could benefit Greenland, the long-term environmental consequences could be devastating. Finally, there's the effect on Greenland's indigenous people, mainly the Inuit communities who have lived there for thousands of years. If the US gained control, there is a risk that Greenlanders could lose political and cultural independence. However, if managed correctly, American investments could also create jobs, improve infrastructure, and boost Greenland's economy. The challenge would be ensuring that economic development respects the rights and traditions of the local population. With growing competition over the Arctic, powerful nations will continue to fight for influence over Greenland. Whether through direct ownership, economic control, or political deals, Greenland will remain a highly valuable piece of land in global geopolitics. So, can Trump actually buy Greenland? Legally and politically, the answer is no. Greenland and Denmark have both rejected the idea, and international law protects Greenland's right to self-determination. However, while an outright purchase is off the table, the US could still find ways to strengthen its influence through military, economic, and political strategies. Greenland's strategic location, natural resources, and Arctic trade routes make it one of the most valuable territories in the world. As global powers like the US, China, and Russia compete for control over the Arctic, Greenland will continue to be a key battleground for influence. What do you think? Should countries still be allowed to buy foreign territories in the modern world? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments below.